Hello everyone, and here we have a new story. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics in the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listen to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail, broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published once every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now, let's go. Hello, I want to tell you my story. It's so sobering when you see that the wife who called 3 times a day stops calling you at all. I know it sounds weird, but the fact remains. To give an example, I went to relax with my friends at a bar, and as soon as I start drinking alcohol, my wife immediately calls me nonstop. Are you okay? Don't drink too much, don't drive drunk, and so on. It seems to be all about the case. Well, I admit honestly, sometimes it annoyed me. But I always tried to respond culturally to my wife and listen to all her instructions. And then, the moment came when my wife stopped calling me. I realized this a few weeks ago. I went fishing with my friends. Naturally, it is best to hold this event in a 2-day period. By the end of the first day, my friends got 2 or 3 calls from their wives. But my phone was silent like a partisan. It was the same on the second day, and only a few hours before returning home, I saw 1 call from my wife. She quickly found out if I was okay, asked when I would be back, and promised to cook something for dinner. Of course, I was confused. Why is this happening? Yes, I don't like being controlled. I am an adult and I relax with friends very rarely. I get friends and have known them all since childhood. Everyone is very reliable and responsible. But I couldn't understand my wife's complete indifference. After returning from fishing, I began to carefully look at my wife. I compared some points of our family life and drew conclusions for myself. The conclusions were not very pleasant. Like any normal person, I hoped that everything seemed to me, but unfortunately, it didn't seem like it. My wife didn't call me all week while I was at work, although she could have called me 2 or 3 times before and asked me, "How are you? What should I cook?" etc. When I came home tired, my wife helped me take off my coat, fed me, massaged my shoulders, and so on. If I complained of a headache, she would bring me a pill. It was an ideal and absolutely not in one gate. Because I've always been very attentive to my wife. I accompanied her on women's business every time. I took her for a manicure, to a salon or a store. I brought bouquets of flowers home just like that. I always tried to give my wife good gifts and took her to the cinema, restaurants, and so on. It seemed to me that a girl with an interesting and eventful life would feel happy. Up to a certain point, everything was exactly like that. But lately, when I came home from work, I see my wife watching a TV show or talking on Skype with friends. She indifferently told me that the food is in the microwave. You can make the tea yourself. Last Friday, when I had a severe headache, she replied that us had run out of pills and did not even budge. I thought she was going to the pharmacy, but no. My wife continued to go about her business. I realized with horror that my wife's feelings for me had faded. I could only explain what was happening by saying that my wife had a lover. This assumption caused me to panic. My soul rejected this thought, but I knew with my head that there had to be a reason anyway. Having a lover best explained the change in my wife's behavior. I started eavesdropping on her phone conversations, but I didn't hear anything terrible for myself. My wife always returned home on time. She was delayed for a maximum of 30 minutes or an hour. Once she arrived with full bags from the supermarket, but I know that there are big traffic jams and queues during rush hour. Therefore, the purchase of products takes a lot of time. But once I did detect a discrepancy, I had a day off that day. I work at a power plant and my shifts don't depend on the day of the week. My wife has a 5-day working week. At about 7 o'clock in the evening, my wife came into the apartment and put 2 small bags of groceries on the floor. After that, she quickly ran to the toilet. I decided to help and took the grocery bags to the kitchen. I put the groceries in their places and found a receipt at the bottom of the bag. I picked it up automatically and read the shopping list. There was a list of products and everything was fine except for one thing. Coming out of the toilet, my wife started complaining. You can imagine there's a very good supermarket near my office. All the food is always fresh, but there are long queues in the evenings. My wife just stood at the cash register for 30 minutes. In another situation, I wouldn't have paid attention, but I had the check in my hands, which indicated the purchase time of 12 hours and 40 minutes. That is, my wife went shopping at lunchtime. If she went to the store at lunch, then she had no reason to stay late in the evening after work. If my wife's work ends at 5 p.m. a.m. and she arrived at 7 p.m. set. So she's lying to me and hiding where she's been for 2 hours. But I understand that it takes 30 minutes to get home. But it didn't calm me down in any way. After that incident, I started calling my wife more often myself, because for the sake of additional earnings, I went to work in night shifts. When I went on night shifts, my wife stayed at home. She texted me that she was going to bed. At these moments, I imagined my wife getting into our bed with another man. As it turned out, I was not very far from the truth. One day, I called her and asked how she was doing. My wife replied that she was fine. She had tea and was watching a TV show. She said she would watch the TV show and go to bed. I decided to check on my wife and said that our neighbor would come in now and return my instrument to me. After hearing this, my wife began to worry. She replied to me that she had arranged with her friend to go to a cafe, but she forgot about it, and that she has to leave already because her friend is waiting. She asked our neighbor to come in another day. I was surprised and asked her a question. Weren't you going to sleep? She told me that she dozed off and forgot about it. At that moment, I realized that something strange was happening. I didn't need any more proof. I already understood everything. My patience is not endless, so I decided to check everything myself. 2 days later, I said I was going to work the night shift. But actually, I got in the car and parked at the end of the yard. I had to turn off the engine, and so I soon froze. Even the old blanket that was in my trunk didn't save me. An hour and a half later, my wife called me. She asked me how I was doing at work. After receiving the answer and making sure that I was at my workplace, she said goodbye to me. After a while, I saw the light turn on in the kitchen. I went to the window trying to be unnoticed. A man's silhouette flashed through the window of my house, and then the curtains were drawn. I quickly went to my house. As soon as I opened the front door, my wife came into the hallway. She was very confused and excited, but she was trying to pull oneself together and play the role of a good wife. She hugged me and tried to keep me out of the house. After that, she told me that she really missed me and offered to go straight to the bedroom. She was hinting at sex to me. In a rage, I pushed my wife away and went into the kitchen without even taking off my shoes. But I didn't see anyone in the kitchen. It even seemed to me that I was schizophrenic. It was only later that I noticed that the window was open. Looking out the window, I saw a man. Most likely, he got scared and jumped off the second floor. In general, this guy punished himself. He was lying holding on to both legs and shouting at the whole yard. My wife stood and looked at me in silence. I calmly asked my wife if she would follow him up the stairs or through the window. She ran outside with tears in her eyes, began to comfort her lover, and called an ambulance. I packed up my wife's things and threw them out the window. There was a bottle of champagne on the table. I poured myself a glass of champagne and watched for a long time as my wife's lover screamed in pain in the yard. I felt very bad, but this situation brought a smile to my face. I went on night shifts to earn more money for my family. But my wife didn't appreciate what I was doing for her. I was just vacating the apartment so she could have sex with another man. As a result, we divorced, and I still can't figure out what my wife was missing. If you liked the story, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new videos. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. The opinion of the author of the channel. According to tradition, I want to wish strength and patience to our hero. After listening to your story, I also could not conclude to the end what your wife was missing. Perhaps because I didn't hear the details of the quarrels and what it all started about. According to you, everything was fine, and suddenly everything went wrong. Most likely, you did not convey something to us. But the fact of treason remains a fact. You made the right choice not to forgive your wife for cheating. Start a new life. I think you will find yourself a good soulmate. If we conclude from what we have heard, your wife has lost interest in you. Perhaps our community will also express its opinion. What can I say about your wife's lover? Yes, He decided to escape from your house in a very funny way, and this situation also makes me smile. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.